Oriire Funowo, good tidings to you. I pray that you are feeling awake, aware, and elevated in mind, body, and spirit, wherever you are, and whatever may be happening around you. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. I am Baba Umar, Oluranse Emese, voice of the MSA, member of the Isoro Traditional Council of Chiefs, Oluwo of the House of Umar, and Babalawo of Ile-Ife, Orisa. This Ile, this spiritual house, our website, and these video lessons are sanctioned by the Isoro Traditional Council of Chiefs in Ile-Ife, Nigeria. Oriire, abundant blessings to our Egbe, our online community of subscribers that's growing daily, thanks to you. Thank you for joining us for another lesson in our video blog series. Remember, as a member of our Egbe, you can support each other's spiritual journey by posting your questions and uplifting comments in the comment section below. You can also email me using the link in the description below if you need to reach out to me on a more personal matter. If you're new to these video lessons, we invite you to click the links below to become a subscriber and member of our Egbe. Also, click the notification button to stay up to date. And please share this resource with your family, friends, associates, and anyone you feel might benefit from this wisdom. You never know who is looking for a new way to move forward in life. Homage to the one who sends and to those who are sent. Homage to Orisa and Egun. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. Excuse me. Our topic for this video is Ifa, Ancestor Worship, Part 2. There is both a substantial, real and tangible, and an insubstantial, not solid or real, imaginary, we might say, aspect to this 3D, third-dimensional reality that we call life in the Loja. Life in the Loja is objective, not influenced by personal feelings or opinions, and considering and representing facts. And we have to use this term objective with a grain of salt, because it's questionable to what extent any of what we deal with in the Loja can truly be said to be objective, but we use that term. Life in the Loja is also subjective, based on and influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions, dependent on the mind or on an individual's perception for its existence. Life in the Loja manifests as concrete laws, definite, clearly stated, unambiguous. Life in the Loja also manifests as metaphysical, based on abstract reasoning, transcending physical matter or the physical laws of nature. Life in the Loja also manifests as spiritual principles relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul. And life in the Loja is and is not at the same time. Given the complexity of our existence as spiritual beings engaged in a physical, third-dimensional experience, it is reasonable to look for a system of understanding and guidance that can embrace both the physical and the spiritual aspects of life. Such is the nature of the Ifa spiritual tradition of Orisa and Ancestor worship. Ifa looks at the nature of the physical world, the physical universe, and then asks the following questions. How can we act and interact with this essence of this third dimension reality in such a way that we can live the best possible life? It asks, can metaphysical and spiritual principles influence and affect the physical laws of the universe? Is the physical reality a collection of individual and separate pieces, or is it an integrated whole governed by a unifying principle? The cycle of life and death is one of those areas of human concern that extends into the substantial and the insubstantial realities, the physical and the spiritual. The physical aspect of death seems pretty clear-cut. The heart stops beating, the brain stops sending out its bioelectromagnetic signals, the ashe, the life force, the vital force of life stops circulating through the body, rigor mortis sets in, and the body begins to decay, returning to the earth from which it was borrowed. Thus, the laws of the substantial reality have been satisfied. What about the insubstantial reality? Is there something that persists after the death of the body? Is the body the entire entity, or is there something more, something unseen, but nonetheless real? I mean, look, when we talk about the body, you're losing 100,000 skin cells every minute. In 11 months, all the organs of your body will be new organs, new cells. So you'll have a new stomach lining in 5 weeks, new kidney, liver, spleen. I mean, everything in the body is changing. So we talk about the body. If you're going to claim to be your body, which body are you? You're not in the same body right now as you were sitting in when you first sat down to listen to this video. And we're only 5-10 minutes into the video. That's how fast the body is changing. So you're not your body. Okay? So is the body the entire entity? No, it can't be. What is the purpose of this life, this 3D experience anyway? Is there something like what we call a soul? If so, does it die with the body, or does it live on in some other reality or some higher dimension of a broader, more dynamic reality? Does this soul entity, this soul being, have awareness? Or is its very nature awareness, consciousness? Can we as living beings contact and interact with the entities of consciousness that existed and exist after the death of the body? Do these entities have an interest in the activities of the living? Are they able to interact or initiate contact with us, the living? And do those who have come and gone ever return? These are all spiritual questions. These are all questions having to do with the insubstantial reality. And they're questions that are important to you and I and how we choose to live our life. I don't think we're going to run out of questions about the insubstantial reality, the cycle of life, death, and reincarnation. We could go on. There are surely those who live in doubt about the existence of life, awareness, and consciousness in an insubstantial reality after death. But most spiritual traditions declare with faith and certainty that there is a hereafter. Different spiritual traditions have portrayed different images, notions, and concepts of this hereafter existence, but none deny that it exists. Ifa declares emphatically that there is an existence after the death of the physical body, and the recognition, acceptance, and acknowledgement of that truth is one of the fundamental tenets of the Ifa cultural and spiritual tradition. When you decide to come into the path of Ifa, one of the foremost things that you have to accept is the existence of a consciousness after death. Ifa declares certain truths to assist us in our life journey. Namely, our journey in the world does not begin or end with us, but is part of a continuous chain of lineage dating back to the very origins of human existence. We're talking at least over 200,000 years. Those who have lived this journey before us are still aware, conscious, and caring. Ifa says those who came before us support our success during our journey in this physical reality. We have a responsibility to acknowledge and honor those who are the predecessors of our lineage, our Egun, our ancestors, both the earthly Eniyan and the extraterrestrial Irunmale or primordial Orishas. Ifa says, we can and should seek the assistance of our ancestors in dealing with the circumstances and conditions of our lives. Past, present, and future are not separate, individuated parts, but rather an integrated matrix of divine energies that cannot be divided one from the other. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Olofi-dumare and Oriire speak to us about reincarnation in the sacred Odu, Oturapon-Idi, the 116th Odu. Aboru aboye, Ile-Ife dara, Orun masunwono, Odudu wa niki awon omo araye, ma padewa, ki oun ma tunwonse. Omo de ni oun kolo, agba lagba ni oun kolo, ani etiri. The world is beautiful. Heaven is magnificent. Oduduwa advised the people of the world to come back to him for reincarnation. The children refused to go. The elderly people also refused to go. We asked, why? They said, it is not easy to go to heaven and come back. Oriire said, heaven is graceful, and it is the home of beauty. Oduduwa would never live in a despicable place. Orisa is always found in decent places. Anyone who is called should answer his call. No mother would call her child to suffer. The people of the world were still hesitating. They were advised to sacrifice so that the veil of darkness might be removed. If they are working, they should always look up to heaven. The sacrifice: 16 limestones, a piece of white cloth, 20,000 calories, and Ifa medicine. If the prescribed sacrifice is performed, they should abstain from blood. They refused to sacrifice. So this Odu is telling us that there was a discussion between heaven and earth, between those in heaven and those here on the earth, the Aeneon. There was a discussion. There was questions about this reincarnation process, the fact that we have to go and come back, go and come back. We talked about this, and we talked about bringing about the good condition in the 78th Odu. So there's a discussion here, and it comes down to the Aeneon, you and I, our ancestors, being given the choice to do an ebo that would help clarify the issue. But they refused to do the ebo. They refused to make the sacrifice. So here you are, you and I, still in a world that still debates the existence of a afterlife, of consciousness after death. As I've stated in a previous post, if we ask, what is the will of God? What form does it take? How is it made manifest? I stated the only possible answer is that life is the will of God. And every aspect of it, substantial and insubstantial, is indicative of a single organic whole, the all, the one, Orisun, the source, the divine matrix, the unifying consciousness that is Olofi-dumare. You and I come to Ifa to progress. If we're going to progress, then we need to understand certain fundamental principles about how all of this works. Ifa gives us insight into how it all works and what we can do to be operating, to be making decisions that have us moving consistent with the laws of the universe. Ifa is how the universe works. If you're going to be successful in life, that success is going to come because you're moving not against the laws, but with the laws, not upstream, but downstream. The importance of ancestor worship, which is our topic here, is certainly not unique to the Ifa tradition. When I traveled to China, Southeast Asia, including Bali, Thailand, and Cambodia, it was not at all uncommon to see people leaving offerings of food to their ancestors at their tables and out in front of their homes and businesses. The Ifa tradition offers the devotee and unaffiliated seekers the opportunity to know from your own experience the answers to the questions that I've raised above in this talk. Knowing, based on the evidence of the substantial reality, is not always sufficient to answer questions about the insubstantial reality. Let me share a personal experience that may help to explain what I'm talking about here. When I was in college, my best friend, who had taken a different path and ended up being drafted and shipped off to fight in the Vietnam War, he had tried to unsuccessfully make contact with me while he was back home on a temporary leave. Unfortunately, I allowed my school demands to keep me from meeting up with him. Unknown to me, my friend was eventually sent back overseas into the war. I'm sitting in the experimental psychology lab one evening while I was working late at school, and I felt someone touch me on my shoulder. The touch felt quite substantial. I mean, touch. Since no one was in the room with me, I immediately looked around to see who had touched me. There was no one there, at least not that I could see. just as quickly as my movement to turn around, my friend's ashe engulfed me, and I knew that it was his presence that I had felt touching my shoulder. A week or so later, I learned that he had been killed in Vietnam around the same time as my experience. I know that he made contact with me. I don't need a witness or anyone's agreement or anyone's acceptance or any other proof from anyone. I know from experience that there is a presence, a consciousness that exists after death, after the death of the body, and that insubstantial energy can make itself felt in and influence the events of the substantial reality. I know that many of you have had similar experiences with friends or family members and know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a most profound certainty that resides in the heart and leaves an indelible mark in your consciousness when you have an experience like this. When we invite our ancestors to be present in our lives by acknowledging the reality of their continued existence, profound things can and will happen, life-changing things. In fact, your whole perspective on life and on death can shift when you finally know with certainty that there is in this journey neither a beginning nor an end, but part of an ongoing process that is emanating from the very consciousness of Olo-Dumare. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. How do you participate in ancestor worship? If you've studied and implemented the 22 lessons of the Ifa videos that I shared with you, you already know what to do and how to do it. But if you're new to this channel, it can be as simple or elaborate as you wish it to be. You can simply pour cool water in a crystal glass or wooden goblet on a regular basis and thank your Egun, your ancestors, for their part in your life and for supporting the will of your Oriire. Reserve that goblet exclusively for communion with your ancestors. Allow the water to slowly evaporate, which symbolizes your Egun receiving your offering. You can also pour your libation directly on the earth. You can light a candle and offer prayers of gratitude to your Egun and ask for their assistance in dealing with some serious and some not so serious areas of concern or important aspects of your life. I like to use the glass encased 7-day candles because you have the option to light the candle each of the 7 days or to just let it burn for all 7 days. And that can happen safely. Of course, always be careful where you place candles. You can place a small plate at your dinner table and share your meals with your ancestors by placing a small portion of food in their plate. And again, reserve that plate exclusively for connecting with your Egun. The food can be left on the table to dry out by the next morning before discarding, or you can place it outside where the Egun can use the birds, insects, and animals as avatars to come to eat and drink the offerings. Call the names of your ancestors and include them on special occasions and during special ceremonies like weddings and graduation ceremonies and the birth of a child. You can put pictures on an altar for your Egun. That can be a powerful element of ancestor worship, but Not necessary, not necessarily a part, but it's something that you can do. White cloth, if you want to lay out an altar, good thing to do. The main idea is to be aware, conscious of the insubstantial reality, and to have faith and eventually the certainty of knowledge that the insubstantial reality can influence and affect the substantial reality. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. For those of you who are not familiar with but want more information about ancestor worship, this aspect of actually implementing ancestral worship practices, do go to the videos on Ifa ceremony, Ifa Iwa videos, and there's plenty of information there to help you to structure a regular practice, including paying homage to your ancestors. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. Ki Olo-Dumare Orisha ati egun, fifune ni itona imoye ati Oriire. May Olo-Dumare Orisha and Egun bestow on you guidance, wisdom, and abundant blessings. Ifo Kanbale, peace of mind from Olo-Dumare. Ajo Lo, Ajo Bo. We go out together, we return together. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo.